I had a guy that was a pharmacist or something or worked in healthcare, and he looked like a normal clean cut guy. And then like in VIP, he was like, I'm wearing a thong right now. And I was like,
I love that shit.
I was like,
I fucking love that shit. I love a masculine man, but like that to me, I would eat that shit up. I would just be like, oh, well, you're with me all night, honey. Like, I like you. I like it. It makes them different.
When he comes in though, I'm always like, what color is it today? And that's like my favorite thing. I want to see it.
That shit out of me.
I was like, oh, like a thong today? And he's like, all I have is thongs now. And I was like, yeah, good for you. Hi.
How are you?
Good. Not fully woken up yet because my brain doesn't start rolling until like 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do night shift?
Night shift, yeah. It's like, even though it's like Knockouts that I work at right now is a bar, it's like you don't get home until like 3:30.
Yeah.
And then of course I have to like watch TikToks for like an hour to hour and a half. And then so I go to bed at like 4:30 or 5, and then I wake up probably about like 2 or 3 usually.
Is that how you like unwind after work?
Yeah, I think it's just like, you know, unless I'm exhausted from work, I'll be like, I'm gonna go to bed, and I like get in bed, and then I'm like on my phone for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, is that the fucking sun? So
for real.
I have to like put my eye mask on and put my phone away and like force myself to go to sleep. Otherwise I'll stay up.
Eye mask for me is like a necessity. I have to. My house is so bright, but I need to have an eye mask like at all times.
I have like I have a south facing unit. Like I have a loft with really good light, which I need because it helps me wake up. But when I'm going to sleep, I need the eye mask because downtown LA has like terrible light pollution. So it's like, even if it's like pitch black at night, you see like all the ring lights from like the influencers across the street, and then like people's rainbow lights and stuff. So I need just like a blackout eye mask, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. So you have always worked night shifts?
I work day shifts sometimes. I think it's just that like my hustle is more like people that are there to party. Like if I sit down, I lose my momentum and I get bored. And then if I get bored, I want to go home. Yeah. But on night shift, there's always so much stuff to do. So I'm like running around and I'm walking around and I'm talking to people and I'm like trying to like hype up the party. And so I feel like night shift vibe is just like more my scene. I do day shift sometimes if it's like a busy day, but every time I work day shift, I'm like, why did I do this? Like my energy is way too much for these people. In the employee system in California, since we're like employees, like you might fight with your manager, but like I'm the kind of person where like I might get into it with my manager, but I'm going to come the next day and then like pretend like it didn't happen. Like girl boss, gaslight. Right. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. I didn't cry. Yeah. I didn't do that. Like that never happened. I was not welling around on the floor in the office last night. I did not say that you were unfair to me. I think that you're the best manager of all time. Here's $3.
Yeah. I mean, like getting fired in the strip club is like getting put on timeout, period. Like it's really not like that serious. Unless you like do something to the manager, but even then it's like just work a different shift.
I just feel like you have to really fuck up to get fired from a strip club. Because it's like, I've heard of girls like getting fired and then it's like they just can't work for like a week and then they can come back, or they like get sent home that night, or they just get like banned from like that one shift, but there's like 3 or 4 other shifts that they can work. So it's like, I'm like, if I hear that somebody got fired, I'm like, oh, she really fucked up.
I've only been sent home because my pussy was showing in my outfit.
They sent you home for that?
Yeah. The audacity, because the G-string lady wasn't there.
Oh, you know, I feel like it's so silly because I'm like, first of all, why are you like looking that deep into my butthole?
They're like, you need to bend over. We can see what's going on. I'm like,
They're like, it can be like the thong. But then they're like, oh no, it's a G-string. And I'm like, why is your face in my pussy like this? Like it's covering up everything. But when you put, if you have enough ass, any thong is going to look like a G-string when you put it on. So that's why I'm always just like, this is silly. This is a silly rule.
Yeah. Or the double underwear.
The double underwear. But it's like, but if they're 2 G-strings, are they allowed to do that? Like if you wear 2 of them, like it still covers the same thing.
If I layer them and put the strings side by side, does that count?
You know, I don't get that. But it's, but yeah, the whole dress code thing, sometimes I'm like, I have really cute sets, but they only come as like a G-string. But when I was at a full nude club, I always wore the slingshot because that works better for my body. But you can't wear a slingshot because it's a G-string, and they don't really make like slingshots with like the wider thong in the back.
They used to in the 80s. Like, do you remember? I mean, not
yeah.
Do you remember? It's like a spandex. thicker, but it looks different.
It's so hard to find a good pattern. Like, you can barely find any stripper gear online. You have to get it from the Outfit Lady, maybe Angel Candy Shop online, or like Hollywood Exotic. But it's like some of the stripper stores are like, a basic thing is like $30, and you're like, okay, I know that this is going to rip after 3 times. But it's like, if you need it for your outfit, because like you have a cute set, but you need a second pair of underwear, or you can't work or something like that, you have to like seek out the right patterns. But if you try to buy something online and you're like, oh, like in the photo, this looks like it'll work, and then you get it and you're like, this isn't cute. It's just not going to work.
Angel Candy does have really cute stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Angel Candy.
Yeah. So how long have you been dancing?
Like 2.5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Like, I was like in sex work before that, but all of my best friends are strippers. So like when I started, I'd been doing pole for like 6 years. But my best friends were strippers, so like my baby stripper experience was a little bit different. I was already like in my late 20s, and so I went into the club like knowing shit with my friends that had already danced. So I didn't have that like awkward like, oh, like what do I do kind of thing. My friends were like, don't fucking wear that, and like don't talk to that person. And I was like, okay, yes ma'am, like that's fine. Yeah, the first couple of months that I started dancing, actually one of my best friends took me on my very first night. They're retired now, but shout out Hero. Thank you for being my strip club mom. But yeah, so I started the club and I kind of had like a leg up, but it was like, I was new to the club, but I wasn't new to like the hustle, if that makes sense. So it was definitely like, when I started, I thought that I needed to have like this perfect floor routine, and I was like so nervous, like, oh my God, like everything has to be perfect. And then after working the club for like a month, I was like, these men are fucking stupid, and they don't pay attention, they don't notice, and like I probably do the same 3 moves at the club like every single time. I
literally, and I wear like the same 3 outfits, but I'm like Steve Jobs, where like if I find one joint that works, I'm gonna buy 3 or 4 of them, and just like, rotate them, because it's like I'll have like the same black one piece, but I'll have like 4 or 5 of them because it works,
So what is like your money outfit? Because I've spent so much money on outfits, and I have like 3 money outfits that I know it's like the club is slow, but I'm like, if I put on the maid outfit, like I will make money. So I have it, and I have 2 versions of it. So just in case one rips, I like have a backup. It's basically like, it's from a costume, but so my money outfits are black bikini top, black thong, like neon green, highlighter green, like highlighter green, yellow, that color, and black on me. Those are my money colors. But my maid outfit is basically black top, black thong with a little maid skirt and a little maid apron. It's like, it's basically just like adding the skirt. Yeah, it's like, I don't have any of the other accessories. I think for me, because I'm like 6'5" in my pleasers, because I'm already like 5'9".
How is that, like being taller at the club? It's like
at Knockouts, because it's a bar, I make a lot of money. But when I worked at Sin Beverly Hills, it was like the ceilings are only like 9 feet tall, and then the stage is so high, and the pole is like 7 feet, and it's on a beam. So I was way too big for that stage. So it was really hard to like look good. But at Knockouts, it's like the ceilings are so gigantic. And so I feel like if I'm wearing just like plain black or something, like I still make money. But when I do wear diamonds and stuff, I feel like it's too much. Like if I were to wear like bling and all this other stuff, like I'm already like 6'5". I'm like, if you walk in the club, like you see everybody's head, and then there's like my head in the very back. So you're like, Wednesday's here, right? But if I'm wearing like diamonds and I'm glowing, like I'm terrifying already. So I feel like I have to kind of like dress down, because men are intimidated, but as they get drunk, they like, usually they're like, oh no, I don't like you. But I feel like I have to hustle in a different way, because it's like, most of the people I talk to are like not immediately attracted to me. I make money more with like talking and my personalities.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
And also like I got my tattoo, says 1991, right? I got this before I was a stripper, because I like didn't think about it for some reason. And then when I started dancing, I realized that every single person at the club knows how old I am, or they assume how old I am, which is 31. So it's like,
is that 1991, 31?
Yeah, I'll be 32 in October. But basically, like, I didn't even think about it, because I like my tattoo, but it's like every single person at the club is going to be like, is that when you were born? And so usually I'm just like, I'll tell you for $1.
Like, this is when I lost my virginity.
One time somebody asked me, is that when your son was born? I don't have any kids, first of all, but I was like, do I look like I have a 30-year-old son? If so, I think I look good for that. But one time there was a guy who was like, this older guy, he must have been like in his late 50s, maybe early 60s. But he was like, I could hear him from across the club. This is in Beverly Hills. And I could just hear him like being very like disdainful and like talking about how I was too old. Yeah, because that club, like the customers that went in there, they preferred like younger, like just more petite women. And I'm really tall. So I was like, I don't really care. But that guy, he was like, I could hear him talking shit about me because it's a small, it's like, but also he saw my tattoo. So I could hear him talking shit about me. So I went up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he was like, oh, is that like when you were born? And I was like, no, it's when my sister was born and she died. And then his face was just like, I don't have a sister, by the way. Like I just lied. But he was like, the color left his face. And I think he left the club a few minutes later. But I was like, you know, I just, if I'm having a bad night, I'm going to ruin somebody else's night if they're rude to me for no reason, you know? And I just feel like the new generation of strippers, and even though I've only been dancing for a few years, I like all my friends are OGs or they're retired. I feel like men used to be afraid of strippers. Like they used to fear strippers. Like, oh my God, this bitch could beat my ass, right? But I feel like newer generations of girls,
beat a few asses.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's a Yelp review about me at knockouts choking somebody out, but I made so much money.
I was like, they love when I choke them. I got in trouble. I'm like in the dance, like
yeah, no. Sometimes, but people would come in.
They love. Okay, so this was my move was like, you know, you're dancing, and then I kind of go back and choke them, and then like go. That's the moneymaker right there. I love that shit.
For me, it's like if people will be like, oh, choke me out or whatever. But the thing is like if I'm choking someone out, like if this is their neck and there's like, this is like where their little Adam's apple is, I always squeeze on the side because it makes them feel like they're being choked. But I don't actually want to like catch a case, you know, because if you push too hard on the Adam's apple, you can break something. So I'm like, I'll squeeze on the side of their neck and then they're like, oh, fuck, she's like really strong. But I'm not actually doing anything.
I'd be choking.
Pardon?
I choke.
You're like, I don't.
It's in God's hands.
I think my hands are too big. Like, I feel like, how big are your hands? Yeah, actually, mine are only a little bigger, but I have my nails too. They look so big, and then my shoes are like this tall. So I'm just like, I'm sure there's men that are.
Is there like a specific type of guy that you like? Like, I can look at a guy and be like, oh, I'm about to eat this motherfucker up. Like, you know, there's like a specific guy that you know you're just gonna like get to spend money.
If there's a Mexican guy in a Deftones t-shirt, immediately mine. A guy in an anime t-shirt, also definitely mine. And then probably like the shortest guy in the club, like 8 out of 10 times into tall women. And then there'll be like the older guy who's like, oh, like you look, my wife's like 6 feet and like you're so tall and beautiful. But those guys never spend as much money as like the really short guy that's like, I'm obsessed with you. Let me pick you up. Like this happened last week. I think it was on Sunday.
I could totally see that.
No, girl. It was on Sunday and Sunday was a slow day. So I got there early and it was like, you know, it's a bad night when customers aren't even or they're not even buying drinks. So it's like it was
on a Sunday?
It was on a Sunday, but usually Sundays are pretty good. But I feel like it's like the threshold is like, is this person going to spend money on me in VIP? Or tip me like a lot. So usually I go for a drink first. Because if they're not buying you a drink first, which is like a smaller amount, it's like, okay, listen. Or if they don't want to buy a drink, but they start tipping you, I'm like, okay, here's money. But it's like, if they don't buy a drink and nobody's buying drinks, I'm like, okay, these guys are fucking broke. Like, it's just like, they're just here to watch and it's annoying. But there was this one shorter guy and he was glaring at me. He came in with his friends had like a section. So his friends are all throwing money on like my friends. And like, I'm not really a section girl because like, I'm way too tall to be in between the table and the seats because if I start trying to twerk, I'm so tall, I will fall over. Like I literally have to lean on the table, but then like I don't have enough space. My spine's all fucked up. Like I'm more of like a VIP girl or a pole girl. Not that I don't go to sections, but it's just like
I don't.
My spine is too long to fit in those tiny little booths.
I don't like where there's like a lot of people in my space.
Yeah, I just, I don't feel like I'm in my best energy. And also too, like those are my friends. I want them to make money. So I'm like, it's fine. Unless I'm invited over there, I'm not going. But so this guy, his friends were in the section and then this really short guy, and I'm talking like probably he must have been like 4'8", dude. Like he was like shorter. The tiniest, but he wasn't short enough that Like, I think he was like a little person, but like who I have also danced for before and was like one of the best customers I ever had. But this guy was just like, I think he was just very small. He was like 4'8", and he was glaring at me for like an hour. And I was like, oh, this guy just like seems like he hates me or whatever. But I talked to him anyway. And then he was like immediately like in love with me, and then he took me to go get a dance at VIP, but he gave them a stolen credit card, or I think it was stolen because it didn't match his ID, and then he got like upset and was like, it's fine. And then he tried to take my hand and he was like, let me pick you up, I can pick you up. And I was like, I'm sure you can, you look really strong, like I'm sure that you can. And that would be like so hot of you to like pick me up, but let's just not do that right now. Cause like, you know, we don't want to fall and then like my boss will get mad. So like, why don't we just
gave me a fucking stolen credit card and I can't get any money from you. Give me 100 and I'll think about it.
Well, so I think he didn't have cash, but he had this card, but all his friends were at the section. So I was like, why don't we just like go to your section where your friends are? And then like we can sit over there. Cause he was also trying to like fight some random guy and like they were both drunk. And I was like, I'm going to distract this with my boobs. So I was like, let's just like go to your section with your friends. Mm-hmm. So he takes me over to his section and I'm the tallest dancer in the club. And he is like the shortest man in the club. And all his friends thought this was the funniest thing. So they started throwing money on me because they were like, dance on him. And I was like, okay. Like, I mean, I mostly was trying to break up the fight, but I was like, of course I want some money. So I'm trying to dance on this tiny man and I'm like bent over and he's just like I probably shorter arms. He was like this, right? And so his friends are just like dying laughing. And then he followed me around for the rest of the night, but he didn't have any more money. So I was like, oh, like, yeah, like I'll come back and say hi. But basically, it's always the short ones. Sorry, that was like the longest tangent of all time. But basically,
not even.
The shortest guy in the club is in love with the tallest girl in the club. It's
Opposites
true.
attract.
Just how you see like Shaq's wife. I don't know if you ever saw his like MTV like Cribs episode in like maybe like 2000s or something. Shaq being the tallest person alive. His wife was like not even 5 feet tall. I feel like the tallest guy is always with the tiniest woman. But
what do they call it? A spinner? Have you ever heard that? I never had heard that before. And then I was at the club and this guy saw this really small girl and he's like, oh, you're a spinner. And then she just kind of like rolled her eyes and I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like, sorry. And she's like, it's okay, I'm used to it. I'm like, what the fuck is a spinner?
Like if she's on top, he spins around.
Like basically, she's like small enough for him. It's like, I think it's a figure of speech, but basically she's small enough for him to spin it, to put her on her dick and spin her around.
I mean, I'm a gigantic person, so I'm like, I know nothing about that. But you know,
I think you could do it, but maybe you just have to like hold your knees in.
I feel like it would look like I was like breakdancing. Like it wouldn't even be sexy at all. Like I just like there's too many limbs, you know? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I have the personality of like a really short girl, you know? Because it's like, you remember in elementary school, like the shortest girl would be like, pick me up. Like I'm tiny and I want to be like, you know, I want to be picked up. And I was always like really tall, but I like secretly envied like the tiny girls because they could just like jump on people and it was like fine. But like I was like twice as tall as everybody. But now at the strip club, it's like, I'm used to being taller than men all the time. So it's like when there's someone tall in the club, we just like lock eyes.
How tall are you without?
I'm like 5'9.5", but I wear flamingos. So I'm wearing 8s and I've tested it.
8. Wow.
So I've tested it because I've worn 6s, 7s, and 8s. And I make more money wearing 8s.
Of course. Fetish. It's a fetish.
Yeah. But it's like I'm tall regardless, but it's also like I'm less clumsy wearing 8s. I look better on stage. And I'm so tall to that point that people are upset that they want to talk to me. Like I get a lot of attention. Yeah. So it's
not
like,
disturbed, but they're just like, I need to know what this is about.
How tall are you? And I'm like, but they never look at my feet. Like I have to, every single person, I'm like, well, I'm wearing 8-inch heels. And they're like, those aren't 8 inches. And I'm like, I know you don't know what 8 inches is, but they are. I'll pick up my shoes and I'm like, see, like they're really tall. Like I'm only 5'9.5". And they're like, well, I'm like 6 feet. So like,
you're not
there's no
6
way
feet.
That you're taller than me.
Yeah, you're not 6 feet, honey.
Like all of the girls are wearing heels. You're in a strip club. Like, I don't know. It's just funny to me, like how upset they get. But I just
their
think
masculinity, really fragile masculinity, I guess.
You know, I think it's like if they're with their boys, they're like more like, oh no, like you're too tall for me. But when guys come to the strip club alone,
oh, I'm sure they eat you up.
It's like, have you ever noticed how when guys come in the club, they will cock block each other? So if there's like a bachelor party or like a group of guys.
I feel like they talk about the dance. Yeah, like the dancers. Like they make it hard for dancers to make money. Like, are y'all here for each other? Like, what's going on?
Right.
What's the real deal here?
It's like there's always one guy in the group that's like
A hater.
doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
He's
that's a
bummer.
straight up hater, and like will make other people feel bad for spending money.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if you don't have the money to spend, whatever it is, just leave.
Right.
Please.
Or their friend will be like having a good time, and then the guy will be in the corner like glaring at him and be like, come on, guys, we gotta go.
Do you
and
think that they ever get jealous of each other? Like, I don't know. Like, and then let me just say this. This may cause waves, no. But like, I've seen guys, I have this impression of like men that go to the club alone, and I've seen guys like pick up on each other. Like, on the low.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're there to meet girls, but you also know that, like, there's, like, if you're, like, a guy that's undercover, you're there drinking. There's other guys that are there alone drinking. Like, that would be a spot.
I feel like a lot of the guys that, like, a lot of those guys that don't like pussy or that are, like, extra mean to dancers or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that every single person who's, like, a misogynist, like, is gay, right? But it's, like, I feel like the Venn diagram of like guys that are like
misogyny
in the closet and
being-
guys that don't eat pussy, like the middle part is like huge. Like there might be a few guys that don't eat pussy that are straight, and there might be a few guys, you know, that hate women but eat pussy. But like I feel like mostly like they're kind of like in here. But when the customers come in and then there's like 20 girls, but then like not that many customers, and they're upset. They're like, why isn't it lit? And I'm like, did you
they're mad because there aren't as many male customers, but there's all like, but that's where it goes back to like guys throwing money so other guys can see them throw money.
Right. And so what I do is like, me and my friends probably throw the same like $10 on each other on nights like that. Cause like we'll just throw $10 on each other on stage. Cause I'm like, this bitch is doing the splits. She's doing a handstand, and like the men in front aren't throwing any money.
Sets a tone.
I'll walk over and I'll just throw like $5 because I'm like, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna let my friend be doing the splits for no money on her stage. But then it makes the other customers, then they start to feel weird when they see the strippers start to throw money on each other, and then they're like, oh, like I should throw some money, and then they start throwing it, and it's like that social kind of like conditioning.
What's the most you've ever made on stage? On stage.
In one set?
Yeah, one set.
I think the most I've ever made on stage in one set was like $600. And that was only, there was the one time when I was in Beverly Hills and this guy came in to the club with like all of his friends, and he got out like $10,000 in like once. This is like a random Thursday. Like it was dead. There was nobody in the club. And there was also a group of like 20, 18-year-olds that had never been to the strip club before. And they were like, they had like maybe $20 between all of them or something. Like they had no money, but they were just being annoying in the club. And then this guy comes in who's a baller with his girlfriend and all their friends. Isn't it crazy though
how it like evens out when you stick it out and you like really stick it out and thug it out, it really evens out. Mm-hmm. Like you could work 5 days and not make shit, but that 6th day will make up for all the 5 days. I think really it's about putting your initiative in and you'll see a return.
Like the consistency.
Yeah.
Well, so that one, basically like I probably would have made money on stage because like I think that night there wasn't that many people doing tricks, and I'm a pole girl. So like they wanted to see like people do tricks. So like that was the one thing I could do. But his girlfriend, the girlfriend of the guy that was a baller, okay. I immediately made friends with her. Anytime there's a girl in the club and she's with a dude, I always talk to the girl first, just because if the girl's happy, the man's gonna be there longer.
Yeah.
But basically, like when I went on stage, because the girlfriend liked me, she took like out a stack or a couple of stacks. She must have thrown like 600 on me or something. My set was only like 3 minutes long because like somebody else started dancing on the floor, and it like turned into chaos because her man basically saw these like 18-year-old guys and thought it was so funny that he started handing $100 or like hundreds to these 18-year-olds. They were running around the club like it was a zoo, like their heads were cut off, and they were like running around because they'd never seen this much money in their life.
So they're dancing.
So they're running around and they're like spanking the girls and they're like throwing money and stuff. And then basically after
that other
like,
guy's money though.
Yeah, but he and his friends thought it was really funny. They were like dying laughing. They were like, oh my God, this is insane. But so they ended up leaving. Like I made money on stage, but then after they left, like the kids were still in the club, and like I could see that they still had some money, and I like went up to them and I was like, yeah, like you guys have to throw that while you're in here because that's not your money. The guy gave you that money to throw. And they were like, no, this is like our money. And so I was just like, okay, like obviously I'm not going to rob them, but I was like looking at them. But then they came back to the club. Those 18-year-olds came back to the club another time, and they had no money. But you could tell that they were like really confused because like it wasn't the same. Like it was like there wasn't a baller throwing a bunch of money in the club, and it was just kind of dead. And they were with other kids, so it was probably like they were like, oh yeah, I went to the strip club. It was crazy, and they brought all their friends with them, and they were sitting with no money, like looking around, like, wait, where's all the money? And it's like you have to bring money and throw it at the strip club. Like it was just really weird. And I was like, 18-year-olds at the strip club, like one of my top 5 most hated customers. What are yours?
I really want to choke somebody out when I walk up to them and they're like,
oh, I go off on them.
Like I want to pull their hair as I'm walking away. Like just.
Are you talking about? So it's like when you walk up to someone, I'll be like,
usually
hey,
it's a
how
foreigner or it's like somebody, you know what I'm saying? They're just like, no. Like, or like before you sit down and talk to somebody. Also, I don't know what it is where like people get drunk. Okay, so for me, I think I've just been doing this for so long and sometimes I get a little bit burnt out. I'm not walking up to everybody. I'm not approaching everybody the way I should. So sometimes I'll miss out on somebody that like I've missed out on people that have money. But I truly believe that like people are like, what's for you is for you. So like if I've ever missed out, I've never like really stressed it. So this guy threw all this money, right? And then somebody was like, the managers or whatever, they're like, go over there, like go talk to him. I'm like, okay. So I'm talking to him and he's like, you're so ugly. Telling me no, but he's like, you're so ugly. And he's like, she's prettier than you, pointing to the bartender. And he was just like with the bullshit. And I was like, I really didn't miss out on anything because that's what it would have been to get that money. And it's just like, I don't know, like I just don't trip on money, but I cannot stand a man. I can read a man with a complex or inferiority complex from across the room. I've been doing this for so long. I can tell when people just don't like you and they like project. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can like sense that shit. And then I really fucking hate dealing with female customers. Like, and not every single one, but there's like, these are the types of female customers that the ones that come in and feel like they have to separate themselves from the dancers in the beginning and then they get drunk and try to end up going on stage.
Oh my God.
The ones that just sit there and act so disgusted, but they'll go and sleep with the guy and for like dinner and be like, I would never be a stripper. Like, honey, you're giving the pussy out for like a filet mignon.
The ones that think because they're a woman, they can't sexually assault you on stage.
Oh my gosh. No, I will fight a girl. And I'm not even a fighter, but like I will fight a girl if she tries to touch me at the club. I don't give a fuck. And the fact that you think, actually, I posted something about that on TDR. I cannot stand someone that comes to the club and feels entitled to like me or my body because you're a woman. Like, bitch, go play with yourself.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, like usually if a girl's like, oh, like, could I work here? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, all you got to do is apply and show up. But or it's like,
or the ones that are like, oh, she's too skinny or she's too this or she's too that. Like, bitch, let's see your ass out here. Like, I can't stand that shit.
I've never had a female customer say that to me. And I feel like maybe it's because I'm already like super tall that they're probably afraid I'm going to beat their ass.
Yeah, they don't want the smoke. I don't even want the smoke. Shit.
But yeah, they're like. Or it's like the ones that like they just want to talk to you all night, but they're not like.
But they feel like they're like one of you, or like, yeah. I feel like, yeah. I'm not a fan of female. I'm just not, and I feel like I just feel this like smugness coming from female customers. I just don't like, and like I don't know, it's just not for me. And then I think like when a guy like you're exuding your sexiness. So when I walk up to a guy at the club and they're just like, that girlfriend is not fucking having it. It's not happening. And then it's just like, I don't even waste my time. Mm-hmm. I just don't deal with groups though. I get very intimidated with groups, to be honest. I just don't like it.
I feel like for me, it's like the way that I deal with the female thing is like, I kind of feel out the energy, right? And it's like, you can kind of tell it's like if she wanted to go to the strip club and he's like taking her, or it's like she doesn't want to be there and he's dragging her. Usually it's like, I'm like, this guy isn't going to give me any money. but he might give some of my friends money if I'm just briefly nice to the girl. And I'm like, hey, you know, how's it going? Is this your man? Like, he better act right because, like, you could work here. That's my best line to use for girls in the club because they're immediately like,
I like
oh,
that.
ha, ha, ha. Because then they're like, they're feeling all good about themselves.
Yeah, like,
and then their man's like, oh, fuck, like on edge or whatever. And then I leave. So I'll say hi, like I'll make my rounds. And I don't like stay too long. Like I kind of plant the seed. I say hello to everybody and then I leave and I'm busy. And I'm not too like, I'm never just like sitting around doing nothing. Like I'll say hello. So then if I make a round again, they're like, oh my God, hi Wednesday. Like, how are you? Or if I go on stage, the girl might recognize me and tip me. But it's like, I don't usually get dances from them, but it's more of like I try to make a point of like talking to everyone in the club until I find someone that's like going to be spending money on me. But I only give it like max like 3 to 4 minutes per group. Actually, and then I dip.
The most I ever made, I think it was like 20 something. 1,000. It was in Vegas. It was a couple. I just remembered. It was a couple, but it was an older couple. They were already together for like 40 years. They were the guy owned like a patent. I think I made like 18,000 that night.
As you should.
But nobody was talking to them. Everybody was ignoring them. And they were probably like in their 50s and 60s, not like your conventionally attractive couple. And literally like, I'm like, oh, do you want to do a VIP? Like I asked them if you want to do a dance. Yeah. They were together for so long. And honestly, I think I may do this when I get married. I don't do threesomes. Like I could never share my man. Like I would fucking flip out. But so she's like, I just want to see him turned on. Like they were together for so long. They spent so much money. The husband owned a patent that was in every single slot machine in Vegas. When you go like this, their patent was necessary in order to go like this. So they made like 5 cents off every. Yeah,
she got the bag.
Yeah,
she's locked in.
She wasn't tripping. No prenup. She was not tripping. She's like, I just want to see him turned on. So I danced for him a little bit, threw my titties in his face. He gets turned on. They start making out. They stayed there for like 2 hours, and I got paid for 2 VIPs each time they redid it. So it was like we were up there for 2 hours. That's like 4 VIPs an hour times 2. It was insane. And every time I would go to Vegas, they would come. Their like child ended up going to college in Orange County, and I was dancing in Orange County. They would come throw money, like insane. So yes, but I think it takes not that I can sense, but I can tell if somebody's really secure, like a woman. If she's like, but you could tell if you're kind of making someone a little bit nervous and like you know that they're gonna get territorial.
Right. It's like you just got to kind of feel it out because it's like you can tell if it's like sometimes even with customers at the strip club, like you can tell it's like they still need another drink because they're feeling uncomfortable. And if they're feeling uncomfortable, like they're not going to be receptive. Yeah.
Like you can tell they want to have fun. They want to dance, but they just need to get to that level.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to check on you in like 15. Mm-hmm. And if somebody says no to me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask you again in 10 minutes. And then I leave or
That's
something.
Good that you're like that. I haven't danced in like a little while, but in theory, all the moves make the most money. However, to apply it is draining. It's a lot of energy. It's not easy. To approach every customer more than once is draining, but it works.
What is your stripper voice sound like on the floor? Like if I was a customer, like what is your stripper voice sound like? Because my talking voice and my stripper voice are like completely different.
I'm like, hey, yo, baby, what's up? No, I know I'm very like, hi, how are you? I play like I'm a fucking idiot. And then I let them play me and then like I'll drop something and they're like, whoa. Or like I'll like say something. I can pretty much like, I'm such a talker that anybody from any walk of life that has anything to say, I can find a way to like converse with it. And then I just kind of like go out of my way to make them feel like not special, but just like, listen, if I'm talking, this may be arrogant, but this is how I like handle it. I'm wearing what I'm wearing. If I walk up to you and I'm giving you my attention, and it's because you're worth my attention. So prove me right. If not, there's 1,000 other guys that want to be talking to me. And I could be wrong, but that's the energy I'm bringing. And half the time it works. That's just like the pressure I'm applying. Otherwise, like, oh, you know what? It's okay. I'll just come back around, you know, and like.
Also, it's like there are guys that are mean to your face, but the average dude does not want to reject you like outright. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I'm good," or "I'm busy right now."
I get the meanest guys. They'll be like, "Oh, what? You thought that was gonna work?" Like,
I feel like maybe they don't do that to me because they think I'll beat their ass, right? Because I'm like towering over them, right? But I feel like guys will be like, oh, like not right now, maybe later.
Oh no,
or they'll reject me, and I'll be like, but my voice is like higher. I'll be like, you don't like me, and I'm like, you don't like me? I thought.
Well, it balances out. Like the act balances out.
I'm like, oh my god, like I thought we were flirting or something. Like I play dumb too. I make way more money being dumb.
You got me dumb for 1 minute, and after that, I'm like, give me the fucking money, bro. I'm leaving. Like I can't help it. I just low tolerance.
But it's like the like when you play dumb as a stripper, the amount of men that believe you is insane. Like my favorite bit to do is like I will tell people straight up that like I don't know how to read, and like if there's a group of 3 guys, like 2 of them like believe it. They're like, I can teach you, and I'm like. Many have tried, but I don't think so. But then there's like one guy that's like next to them, like looking at his friends, like, are you guys fucking serious? Like, I'm like, no, I've never read in my life, like ever. And then they're like, that's crazy. Like so you just never learned. I just think that, but also I just be lying in the club.
I was going to say that, but sometimes that's what makes the time go fast. Cause like, I'll be like, oh my God, I have to make $700 before my babysat picks me up. And they'll be like, your baby's dad. Yeah, but not the one I live with. This is like a different guy. He usually just takes me where I need to go because I owe him money. Like, I'll just be like lying. Just
it has to be a mundane lie, because if it gets too elaborate, like if I get too drunk and too creative and I'm like, the German mafia is going to repossess my car if I don't, if I don't trade 8 to 7 like stocks and bonds by like 7 a.m., like they'd be like, okay, this is a joke, right? It has to be like boring lie. With a little bit of detail. And
literally,
then they're like, okay.
They'll be like, what do you do outside of here? I'm like, oh, I'm like software development. I have an app. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, it's a joke, right? Like, it's just like people believe what they want to believe. Like, and you just got to let them, it's part of it is like letting them think what they want to get their money. Like, at the end of the day, you really cannot be that invested in what someone's perception of you is in the club, because you're not there to win people over. You're there to make money. But it's hard not to take it personal or feel not so much validated, but invalidated by like their disrespect or whatever it may be, because it's really not personal, but it's just like you're dealing with it as a person.
I think it's also like, at least for me, I feel like it's not, I don't get the like aggressive, like in your face, like insults to your face, but I get the like sly, like they think they're making a joke about you, but you're right there and you get the joke or whatever. I just play dumb to the rude comments too. So if they're like being like, oh, like you're like really big, I'm like, I know, aren't I like perfect? Don't I look so good?
I love that.
And and they get frustrated because they're like, they're trying to insult her. You. Yeah, but then it's like, but if I don't like act insulted, they're like, then they try harder and then they end up looking like stupid and they're the butt of my joke, and that's how I win.
Has there ever been a customer that you like approach expecting something and you just the complete opposite? Like,
I'm trying to think. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I can read customers pretty well, but I definitely feel like if I'm talking to a customer and then I take them back in VIP, I have had some like kind of not jump scares, but like definitely like, what's the word? Surprises. Like where they're into something like weird. Like we're not that I'm judgmental, but I'm just saying like I had a guy that was a pharmacist or something or worked in healthcare, and he looked like a normal clean cut guy. And then like in VIP, he was like, I'm wearing a thong right now. And I was like,
I love that shit.
I was like,
I fucking love that shit. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I like when guys are like, I don't think I would want to date a man, but I just love it when a man is into some feminine kink shit on his part. I don't know why. I love a masculine man, but like, that to me, I would eat that shit up. I would just be like, oh, well, you're with me all night, honey. Like, I like you. I like it. It makes them different.
When he comes in, though, I'm always like, what color is it today? It's like my favorite thing. I want to see it.
That shit up.
Yeah, I was like totally.
Does he show it to you?
In the back, but it's like I think that he's like early in exploring it, so it's like and I was like, oh, like a thong today, and he's like, all I have is thongs now, and I was like, yeah, good for you.
But also that's where people go. It's like you get what I'm saying? Where they're like, it's like almost like a form of self-expression, and that's the only place that they feel comfortable sharing that aspect of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like strippers, like half our job is therapy.
Things like that I'm 100% open with and accepting with, because I would hate to make somebody feel bad about what they're into personally. It's when you try to fuck with me, I'm gonna come for your head. But other than that, I'm here for whatever it is that you're into. Like, I'll back it up, whatever, but...
Right. I'm much energy. So it's like if somebody's like polite or they're like kind of like joking with me, like I'll be like the nicest person in the club. But if they're like giving me shit, like I can be really scary.
I'm much energy if you're spending money. I don't know though. I'm just at the point now, like I said, I haven't danced in a while, but when I was dancing, I think I was just like, dancing is not sustainable because it consumes so much energy. Yeah. It's not, aside from the lifestyle, you're selling your energy. And you're not getting it back in return. You're selling it and you're getting money in return. So you really have to give yourself that opportunity to like recharge, and you have to respect your boundaries, because then otherwise you're giving away a part of yourself, And then like with the drinks and money, everything flowing, there becomes a gray line that you have to like work hard at like sustaining.
Yeah, it's really hard to save money because you get money really fast and you spend it really fast, and then you don't have like a reliable income. So it's like I had to do cash stuffing, where it's like every time I'd work, I'd like ban my money and I'd be like, okay, like this time in the month, like I just like put it in a box away.
Is that your way of like how do you manage your money?
I pay rent in ones, and so it's like basically I'm like, okay, I need to make like this much this week. So if I make all that money on the first day of my shift of that week, like I'm like, cool, like this week's rent is paid already. It's in a box under my bed, pleasers box, of course. But so it's like, I put that away, and then the rest of the money that I make that week, I can spend on whatever I want. But so basically I have to set goals and cash stuff it because I have ADHD. So it's like out of sight, out of mind.
That ABC shit type of saving.
Right.
It's so much cash.
And you have to do it like in increments, because if you're like, oh, I can like spend all this money early in the month, and then you have like 5 days left of the month, and it's like you have 3 bad days in a row. You get 2 days left to make rent.
You think you're the only one trying to make your rent?
Everyone.
At the end of the month, at the club, everybody's there for that.
And it's like cutthroat. Like we're talking like the 30th, 31st of January. No, and it's like cutthroat.
Like the 3rd.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, I'm always like, but when I started budgeting, I realized that like end of the month, when it's not that I didn't make enough money that month, it's that I spent too much money.
Budgeting is key. Like I make so much money, but I blow more than I should. I think I would be in such a better position. Even now, even with TDR, we would probably be in a better position. Like you live and you learn. I'm literally learning as I'm going, but like money management is so important, and it's so underrated. It really is. Like I feel like in school, they should teach you concepts of like managing your money, and like, because right now, like in school, you're like taught to like either work a 9 to 5, be a doctor, or be an attorney. Like that's not realistic. We have so many entrepreneurs, and like you need to learn the value. Like that is valuable in school, But I mean, they're not going to do that.
No, literally, I can't save for shit. Like I'm terrible at managing money, and so the only thing that worked for me was like cash stuffing. Like I saw it on TikTok, but I don't do it in like one of those binders. I'm just like,
say it again. Cash.
It's called cash stuffing, where it's like they do this on TikTok. I didn't do it this way. I just put cash in a box under my bed. But basically, it's like you have a binder, and it's like you have an envelope for like utilities, for rent, for vacation, and so you put money into this binder.
That works.
And
for
like
you?
if you have like, so if you like, since we make money in our cash mostly,
yeah.
So you have all this cash, and you're like, okay, cool. How am I going to save for certain things? It's like, well, you pay yourself first for those other things, and then the remaining money is like you're spending money, but you take it out of your wallet.
How long have you been doing that?
Like 1.5 years.
It works.
Yeah, it works now. I no longer stress about like paying my rent at the end of the month.
I think that's something that maybe dancers, especially like baby dancers, should like try. Definitely.
Usually it's like if I like have a really good like beginning of the month, then I just like pay my rent in my box early, and then I'm like, cool, like I can like splurge or like help out one of my friends who's retired or whatever. But I feel like when I first started dancing, I was like, oh, cool, I could have a really good night.
Yeah, and I would blow the money.
All of it. And then like I'd have a terrible the next 5 days, and I would be like, can somebody Venmo me like $10 so I can get Uber Eats and I'll give you some cash? Like it was like I had no money in the bank, but I like
you have cash, yeah.
Right. So I think it's just like it's harder to budget when you're paid in cash, and you never know how much you're going to make that night. You could make like $1,000, you make $2,000, you could make $11, you could leave with nothing. I mean, I haven't had any nights where I've left with nothing, but I think my worst night ever was like $17.
Oh, I've had, like, there were times, this was like years ago, but like, you're paying to work back in the day. Like, I've had times where I left negative. But so really quick, you have your bag. Is this like what you bring on the floor with you, or?
Yeah, this is my money bag that I use on the floor. Well, I have 2 of them. I wash them every week, so I rotate them. But this was my very first money bag, and I liked it because when I originally started, the clubs are dark, and if it was black, I was like, I'm gonna leave this on the ground, and I'm gonna like forget my bag somewhere. So I got this one because I was like, I will see this in the dark. Like, there's no way I'm leaving money on the ground, and it works. So even if it's really dark in the VIP room, I'm like, know exactly where my money bag is if I set it down. But yeah, I just like the stretchiness because I just throw it on my shoulder. But inside we got phone. So this is what I bring on the floor. Phone, my Adderall. There's some money in here. Hold on. Pull grip. This is my favorite. Tack, the like eye tack. I like it better than
What the fuck is that?
There's a moth in my money bag for some reason.
Did that play?
I don't know. I mean, I just got it back from rinse, so it should be clean. Narcan. I always carry that with me because bitches be doing drugs in the club, and I don't want my friends to die in front of me. I got like 1, 2, 3 vapes. I have another vape right here. Super glue. If you know, you know. Mm-hmm. And a lighter and like more lip gloss. So
the glue's for your pussy, right?
Yeah, to keep it closed.
Shut? Yeah, okay.
Oh, and then breath mints and another lip gloss. Yeah, but I don't use gum, and I always use breath mints because if you like with artificial sugar, if you chew for too long, like if it's a fresh piece of gum, your breath's fresh. But if you keep chewing it, it actually makes your breath worse. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes girls are like chewing it forever, and I'm like, girl, it's not doing anything. Like that's why I use breath mints. But yeah, so usually I'll just have these things with me because when I go on the floor, like I try not to go back to the dressing room too often. I try to have everything I need so I can like
stay on the floor. I don't like. I feel like that's like such a kill because if you go back to the floor, it's like you're restarting your like whatever it may be. But yeah,
I'll only go back to the dressing room and change. So if I go out in an outfit and I feel like I've made my rounds and I'm not making any money, I'll change because I'm like, okay, they don't like this bitch. I'll be a different bitch, right? So then I'll change and then I'll like give it like another like 15, 20 minutes. And then if I'm still not making money, I'm like, okay, I'm putting on my money outfit. And then if I'm not making money in my money outfit, I'm like, they're broke. And then I just stay in that outfit until I
I'm not
make
the problem.
Right. It's not me. Maybe I am the problem.
So wait, okay. I want to talk to you about your Instagram.
Yeah.
I love that you have that, like, your memes and stuff. I feel like we're always reposting your memes. Like, where do you get I would say where do you get the inspiration, but it's so obvious.
Am I allowed to do this on camera?
Are you kidding? No, I'm just kidding. Of course. I'm just trying not to smoke my weed because I will be cross-eyed on camera.
I feel like if I get cross-eyed just like staring off like NPC, like the story that you posted of me, I'm just like, I feel like I probably zone out at the club like that too. But
I have to be sober. I have to go to the club sober. I cannot be high. I cannot be anything because I just don't want to be there. Like when I would go, it's work, you know? And even if I do want to be there, I cannot be high talking to customers. I get stuck. And I just feel like I'm more easier going sober for the most. Even if I drink, I'm like, it adds like extra.
I can only drink tequila. If I drink anything else, I'm sloppy.
Yeah, I only drink tequila too.
If I drink like Hennessy, I will fight someone. It doesn't matter who it is. Like one shot of Hennessy.
I went through a Hennessy phase like during 2020, and my friends, they legit had an intervention. They're like, you can't drink Hennessy anymore.
Like I'm from NorCal, so like I can drink dark liquor up there, but for some reason when I'm at the club, if I drink dark liquor, I get like aggressive and kind of high feet.
Not me. I'll throw my panties in the air.
Oh my god! If I drink tequila, I'm like tequila drunk me is like a hustler. Like I will like. If I drink tequila, I'm like about my money, and I'll wake up the next morning and I'll like kind of remember it. I'm like, oh my god, I was on a roll. I'm a good liar. I'm very funny. And when people insult me because I'm so happy when I drink tequila, it just rolls off. Yeah. I have to drink when I'm working night shift. Day shift, I can like get away with not drinking. But if I'm around a bunch of drunk people, I need at least like 2 or 3 shots of tequila. I don't want to be too drunk and sloppy and like waste my time, but I need like just a little bit to get a buzz because then I feel like I'm in the same kind of like energy. But tequila me is like very efficient. Like tequila me is like, give me $17,000 right now and I'll tell you a secret that like
will change your life.
That will change your life. Like I'll just be like just freestyling.
And then you fart on him. Like, we had a girl, she was talking about how she farted on a guy and he was like, did you just fart? And she's like, yeah. He's like, yo, you a real bitch. Come down.
Last Saturday, it was like 2 weeks ago, I I was like so tired because I had done like 2 days before that, and I was like decided I didn't want to go to work, so I was like, I'm gonna talk in a Texan accent all night. So I wore like my cowboy hat and my cow print bikini from Angel Candy Shop. Shout out Angel Candy Shop.
You wore the cowboy hat?
I wore like I had a matching cowboy hat. But so I walked around the club like all night, and I was like, hi, my name's Tammy Lee.
You're like, yeehaw.
And I was like, baby, I just moved here. I moved to Hollywood to like be a star. And I was like talking into Texas.
Money?
Oh, I made a lot of money. And I was talking in a Texan accent all night. And like even my regulars were like, Wednesday, like, I know you're not from Texas. And I was like, my dad is. My grandma is.
My stepdad is.
I was like, why can't I be from Texas today? If I'm
but it works. I talk about that, and I feel like it's just like a way to switch it up, and like
it's like if you get bored, it's like how I have to like trick my ADHD brain into like, how can I make this fun for me so it doesn't feel like I'm at work, because I'll make more money if I feel like I'm like, this is funny and entertaining for me.
Once it gets redundant, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, if it's like, if you're going to work so much and that you're just kind of like, I've had the same day 17,000 times. Like,
yeah,
what day of the week is it?
And then you don't even remember it at that. Not me, though. I always remember everything.
Oh, you asked me about my Instagram. But so before I was a stripper, I made memes like back in the day, like early, like 2016, back when memes were like embarrassing. And so I've just always made memes about stuff that I did. And then it was like when I started dancing in the club, I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Because it's like, I feel like people that before you, like, you have an idea of what stripping's like, and then you like actually work in the club and you're like, this is fucking insane. It's
and
a whole different world.
When you first start, you're still in that realm of like real life and life outside of the club. So when you're like transitioning into like what actually is in the club, it's so crazy. Like, it's like that middle ground, but that's like when you make the most money, because you're like, huh, what, you know?
Well, baby strippers, I always tell baby strippers, like, just tell people you're a baby stripper. Like, don't
new girl money. That's what I tell
don't lie. Like, you'll make more money if you say you're a baby stripper.
And like with the app too, with our app, I'm always like, yo, like, try a new club. At the very least, you'll make that new girl money. Even if it's like across town. Like, if you never worked there, go collect your new girl bag.
Right. It's like your birthday at Starbucks.
Yes. Or Sephora.
Yeah.
Like, your clientele is like, there's regulars at a club. The same regulars. They belong to the club. So if you just try it out, you're going to make that money. Like, at the very least, you're going to make that.
Right. Or they might come with you to another club. Like, they like you so much.
Definitely. Yeah.
Give them your little text now number. I have my fake number memorized because.
Oh, really? Nice.
And whenever I like see a baby stripper in the club, they're like, oh, I'm going to go like leave with this guy. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And they're like, why? I'm like, did he give you money in the club? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, why the fuck would you leave the club to go hang out with this man for free? And then they're like,
even if a guy is like spending money at the club, even if a guy, you walk in and a guy spends $1,000 in 10 minutes, don't leave with him, because when you leave with him, you're probably not going to make what you would have made had you stayed with him for 5 hours. No matter what it's such a scam. Yeah. Like, just don't fall for it, please.
But also, it's just like the thing is you have to train these men that if they want to see you and they want to spend time with you, they have to be spending at your work. They came to find you
your boundaries.
At your work.
You set the tone for the way these people are with you. So if you are allowing this, it's going to continue. Like, you set the tone. You have to create your boundaries. I always say this, like, you have to respect your own boundaries in order for people to like understand them and respect them themselves. Otherwise, it's like a girl being like, I'm done talking to you, and then comes back around a week. Like, girl, you don't even believe what you say. I'm not going to believe it. You know, you really have to like hold yourself accountable for your own boundaries.
Right.
Because and then that money that you make breaking your boundaries, you're going to blow it, you're going to spend it, and you're never going to be able to get that part of yourself back that you had when you were enforcing your boundaries. And
also too, especially if it's like a club regular, if they learn that they can waste your time for free, like, I mean, maybe the very first time, like, you'll give them a little leeway. But if it's like, you could see that they're just trying to talk you up and they got no money and they do that over and over, they're disrespecting you. They don't think, like, they're not treating you with respect. Because a customer that respects you and doesn't have any money, they'll let you know and be like, hey, I just ran out of money. Like, I don't want to waste your time.
Legit, yeah.
That's someone that's like worth talking to the next time they're there, because you know that they know that your time is like worthy of making money. But, you know, it's boundaries come with like, don't give out your personal phone number. That's also like a safety thing too, that I feel like a lot of young girls don't really realize. I'm like, don't give out your real phone number. Like, give them a fake number so you can text them when you're at work, but don't give them your real number, because half the time, or not half the time, but like very often it's like, if you give a customer your phone number and then they end up being a psychopath, then they have your real number. They can look up your real legal name. And like, you know, it's just, you want that. The reason we use stripper names is like for safety and like being anonymous for a reason. And so that also pisses me off when customers are like, I want to know your real name. And I'm like,
well, I'm going to tell you my real fake name then, because I have one of those. I have a fake, you know?
Mm-hmm. Did I get lipstick on my teeth?
No, you're good.
Perfect.
I would tell you, girl.
I hope so. But, you know, even if I had it, I'd be like...
I would not let you be out here like that.
You know, you could if you didn't like me. If I was like swooping on your regular...
Even if I didn't like you, I still wouldn't do that. I don't know. Like...
I wouldn't do that either, but...
I just move like... And I feel like this is like... I feel like for the most part, I've been very blessed in my life. Everybody has their struggles, but I feel like I just don't move with like bad intent towards anybody. And it always comes back to me in a good way. Like, even if I don't fucking like somebody or I don't fuck with somebody, I'm not going to go out of my way to do any harm to anybody, because it just, A, it comes back to you tenfold. And B, it's a waste of energy. Like, I could go put that money into like making it back somewhere.
Right. And I feel like, you know, I like working at Knockouts, like, because we've worked there together, but I like working at that club because like there isn't as much like beef between the girls. Like, there is kind of like a good synergy, but most clubs, like, you're not going to make friends with the other people you work with, and you shouldn't expect to.
Yeah, you shouldn't even be trying. Like, why are you worrying about making friends? Like, worry about your money so
you're there to work.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah, and also it's really easy to get like wrapped up in like dancer drama, and it's like, when you get wrapped up in that, you're wasting your own time when you could be like making a bag.
I never really have cared about, I don't know, I never really got involved with anybody like of the girl. I just don't give a fuck. I don't know. I just don't.
I think I'm a sucker for like when somebody's like crying because their man just like did something crazy, because I'll be like in the back changing, and then I'll be like giving him a pep talk for 5 minutes, like just rob him or like break up with him, block him on everything. He'll have to hang up on PlayStation, and then I'll hit the floor. I'll be like, I gotta make money. But I think like I look really tough because I'm like gigantic, but like I have a soft spot for like when girls are like having a rough night. I'm like, it's okay. Fuck your man. Like, dump him. Get a new one who's richer.
I'm like this. I walk out. Like, I don't want to get...
You're like tiptoeing. You're like, please don't ask me to help.
Get well soon. Like, I can't deal. I can't handle it. I got my own stupidity to deal with, okay? My dumb ass be crying right before I walk in. I can't deal. Like, no. I don't get involved with anybody else's shit. And just like with my company, like, I just try to like keep to myself mostly. Mm-hmm. And like, you know.
I don't know. I think it's like, you know, it's everybody is there to make money. And so I feel like if you know that getting dragged into like something like that is going to fuck up your like energy, your hustle, just don't do it. And it's okay. And you're not a bad person for not helping the crying girl in the dressing room.
I mean, trust me, somebody else will.
Right.
And then like also,
it's probably me.
I'm a human being. Yeah. I'm a human being. Like, I'm still going to like, if somebody's like comes to me crying, I'm not going to be like, talk to the hand. But, you know, I'm still going to be like, well, you know, I hope everything works out for you, babe, but I got to get back to the floor.
Yeah, you're going to be like, take a deep breath. It's fine.
Yeah. Girl, we already been going at this for an hour.
Oh, my God. Sorry.
No, what do you mean? Sorry. How dare you?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. These are so cute.
My mom, she just bought.
You should zoom in on the part where I do have lipstick on my teeth and cut it into where I'm like, do I have anything? And then where I have it. And she's like, no, you're fine.
Well, I really want to thank you for coming out. I've seen your Instagram, like I like your memes, and then it was so crazy to like see you at the club, and then
somebody told me that the girl that runs Dancers Resource worked at Knockouts, and I was like, oh my God, who is it? Like, because you're like the Paris Hilton of like the strip club.
The Paris Hilton. Oh,
no, but you are, because like Paris Hilton's like beautiful, but she's also like this badass like business babe. You know,
thank you so much.
She's like invested in like tech and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No, of course. I mean, like, I have the Dancers Resource app on my phone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is like my child. We're trying to get that like as amazing as. I just really want it to be a resource for like dancers to be like, you know, like when I was trying to work in San Francisco years ago, and like you're calling, trying to see if they are they will fuck with your type if they're hiring, when auditions are, who to ask for, how the girls are. And I just wanted the app just came about to give everybody like that knowledge without even having to like sacrifice yourself to get it. So
right. It's like, what shift do I come on to? Because there's different managers.
Yeah. Yeah. So
if they even answer the phone.
Yeah, and then if you can get past the door guy, I feel like the door guy are the people with the most heightened egos, and like the most egotistical assholes are the door guys. They're like the gatekeepers, which makes sense. But yeah, so hopefully that is helping people. But I'm so glad that you came.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then why don't you tell people how they can follow you on Instagram and like where to catch you, where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at Cultmaker, CULTMAKER, or Instagram at Vapor Cult.
And your OnlyFans.
And my OnlyFans you can find at gothkaren.com.
There you go. Yeah.